At breakfast, Mom said, "Your sister's twins will take your room. They need space to grow." I looked up, half a breath from speaking. Dad slammed his glass down. "Agree or get out of this house." The milk jumped. The twins cried. Sabrina didn't look up from her phone. I nodded, just nodded. Because arguing in this family never changed the script. My tongue tasted like chalk. The cinnamon roll I baked that morning turned to cardboard in my mouth. I kept smiling. That's my job. I bake peace offerings for people who confuse silence with agreement. My name is Christine, 31, quiet daughter, owner of a small pastry shop on Linen and 3rd. People say I'm calm. They mistake endurance for peace. I remember everyone's coffee order, but can't remember the last time anyone remembered mine. They call Sabrina the miracle. They call me the stable one. Stable means useful. Useful means available. Available means empty. That morning, I learned something important. Even glue breaks when the weight keeps changing. Before the eviction, there was a tab. It started small. Textbooks for Sabrina, a traffic ticket, a career emergency blazer from Nordstrom. She said, "You're better with money." I said, "I'll cover it this time." There was always a this time. My parents called it helping. I called it math with no ending. When Sabrina married, I made the 5-tier cake. When she had twins, I bought both cribs. She said, "You're good at providing." Mom said, "You're independent. You don't need as much help as your sister." Dad said nothing, just handed me receipts I didn't remember signing. Every favor became a ledger entry. Every smile cost a little more. I kept a small notebook behind the register. Lines, numbers, dates. $18,542.19. I wasn't rich. I was consistent. And consistency looks like wealth to people who never pay you back. Then came the boxes. First a stroller, then 2, then the changing table. "Just for now," she said. My room turned into storage, a museum of my own childhood. Posters curled at the corners. Trophies stood beside baby bottles. Some nights after closing the bakery, I'd crash on that bed half covered by diapers I'd bought myself. Mom called it family adjustment. I called it eviction in progress. That morning's breakfast wasn't sudden. It was just the last straw finding its stack. I heard the glass slam again in my head. Sharp, final like a gavel. Then the sentence landed. And something in me started to count backward, not forgive. The breaking point wasn't loud. It came over Sunday lunch, quiet as steam. Roast chicken, rosemary, baby shampoo. I brought a tart because I didn't know what else to bring. Dad started without hello. "We found a contractor. You'll write the check. We'll pay you back." "How much?" I asked. Even though I already knew. 42 with permits, he said. Mom nodded like that number meant kindness. "And Sabrina and the babies will move into your room this week," she added. "Take your things tonight. What's left can be tossed." "Tossed?" I repeated. "My stuff is clutter?" Sabrina didn't look up. "Chris, don't make this dramatic. You don't even use the room." She took a sip of water. "Also, daycare waitlist fees came through. Can you spot me 600? I looked around the table. The twins slept. The chicken cooled. The silence asked me to obey. "I can't," I said. 3 heads lifted, shocked. Dad frowned. "Can't what?" "I can't write a check for 42,000. I can't pay daycare. I can't move my things out tonight so you can throw them away." Mom stiffened. "Don't be childish. We all sacrifice for family." "I've sacrificed," I said, steady now. 18,542 since last May. 212 hours on your renovations. Free cakes, free deliveries, midnight calls, early drop-offs. I've given and given. And when I asked for one thing, keep my room, you told me to agree or get out. Dad leaned back. "You keeping score?" "You kept it first," I said. Every favor became proof I owed more. Sabrina laughed. "This is about the room? Seriously?" "This isn't about revenge," I said. "It's about closure, about boundaries." Dad's jaw tightened. "Then get out." "Okay," I said, pushing my chair back. "I will." Mom's voice cracked. "Christine, sit down." "I'll be back tonight for my things," I said. "The rest is yours." Sabrina's laugh thinned. "You've changed." "I noticed," I said, walking out. Dad shouted, "If you leave like this, don't come back." I paused at the door. I'm tired of nodding. I met Mom's eyes. Good luck with the space. I left the tart on the counter. I didn't slam the door. Outside, the air felt sharper. Not free, just different. Like silence after a storm, still deciding if it's over. I sat in my car until my heartbeat slowed. Hands shaking, but steady enough to hold the wheel. Somewhere between that driveway and the stoplight, something in me unclenched for the first time in years. Driving back to the bakery. The silence hummed louder than the radio. I cleaned the espresso machine. I opened my laptop. I needed to look at something that wasn't family. Zillow. A new listing, 3 bedrooms, quiet cul-de-sac. Next door. High price. But not impossible. I called the agent. I'd like to make an offer, I said. You move fast, he replied. Not really, I said. Just tired. Next door. High price. But not impossible. I called the agent. I'd like to make an offer, I said. You move fast, he replied. Not really, I said. Just tired. The next 48 hours blurred like a fever dream. Papers signed. Emails. Wiring funds. I barely slept. Just caffeine, flour, and adrenaline. By Wednesday afternoon, the deed had my name on it. A 3-bedroom house. Same street, next door. The irony didn't hurt. It healed. That night I drove there. With a folding chair, a pillow, and a grocery bag. The air smelled like pine cleaner and old dust. I opened every window. The quiet felt earned. For dinner, I ate a cold sandwich on the floor. It tasted like freedom disguised as cheap bread. I walked through the rooms slowly, palms tracing the walls like they were breathing again. The light bulbs hummed softly, and the fridge made a sound like a sigh. I unrolled a blanket in the middle of the empty living room, set my phone face down, and let silence fill the corners that used to hold other people's opinions. For the first time in years, I didn't owe anyone a response. At 7:02 a.m. Thursday, I stood on my new porch with coffee in hand across the lawn. The blinds twitched. Then the front door opened. Mom stepped out in her robe. Christine, she said, stunned. I smiled. Morning. Dad appeared behind her, jaw tight, voice low. What are you doing? Living, I said. You think this is funny? No, I said, I think it's close. Close to what? Closure. He scoffed. You bought a house to spite us. I bought it because you told me to get out. And because I can afford to live, without proving my worth every time you need a check. He looked past me into the empty living room. So what now? You'll just sit there and watch us? No, I said, smiling. I'll say good morning, like neighbors do. His stare lingered, caught between pride and disbelief. We raised you, he said. I know, I replied softly. And I learned how to stand. He blinked, like hearing his daughter's voice for the first time. Then he left, shaking his head. 10 minutes later, my phone buzzed. Mom's text, you've humiliated this family. Then another. Can you at least bring cinnamon rolls on Sunday? The twins love them. I didn't reply. Back at the bakery, the ovens glowed gold against the dawn. The smell of butter filled the air. Sweet, warm, unbothered. I leaned on the counter, watching the dough rise. Slow and steady. Proof that even something soft can hold its shape if the heat is right. Each tray came out even, golden. And for once, so did I. By noon, the rumor machine started humming. Aunt Nora called, Your mother is hysterical. Uncle Ted texted a thumbs up emoji. Bold move, kid. I laughed, then turned my phone off. The world could wait. Inside my new house, the light kept moving across the floor, like forgiveness learning to walk. By evening, Dad came over. No hello. You think this is maturity? He asked. No, I said, it's maintenance. Maintenance? Of peace. Of sanity. Of boundaries you never believed in. He didn't like that word. Boundaries sounded like rebellion in his language. You bought this house out of spite, he said again. I bought it out of exhaustion. He looked away first. That felt new. The next morning, messages piled up. Mom, you've broken this family. Sabrina, we need money for daycare. Just help this once. I typed slowly. I'm paying what I owe. Mortgage, groceries, payroll. That's the list. Sabrina sent a string of question marks. Are you serious? Yes. You've changed. I noticed. She sent a photo of the twins, their small faces framed in sunlight. Don't punish them. I'm not, I said. I'm protecting me. Her reply came fast. Dad says you're selfish. Then he finally noticed I exist, I said. Hours passed. The house stayed quiet. For years, quiet meant isolation. Now it sounded like control. At dusk, I stepped outside with coffee. The blinds across the lawn moved again. The door opened. Mom stood there, hesitated, then waved, small, unsure. I raised my mug. Good morning, I said, though it was nearly night. She didn't answer. But she didn't go back inside either. The next day, Sabrina showed up with the stroller. You embarrassed Mom, she said. People are talking. People always talk, I said. Half the time they're wrong. You could have helped like you always do. I did, for years. Dad says you're cutting us off. I'm paying my bills, I said. That's all. That's enough. She crossed her arms. So you won't help with daycare? No. The contractor? No. She laughed, brittle. Then enjoy your empty house. I will, I said. You're welcome to visit. With a text first and no invoices attached. Her mouth opened, then closed. You've really changed. Finally, I said. She turned the stroller around. The twins looked at me and smiled. I waved. Good morning, I said again, and meant it. When the street went quiet again, I stood on my porch, coffee cooling in my hands. No noise, no requests, just the wind and the sound of my own boundaries holding steady. For the first time in my life, silence didn't feel empty. It felt earned. Weeks passed, and the quiet turned into rhythm. I woke early, preheated the oven, watched light pour across the bakery floor. The morning smelled like butter and second chances. Bills came. I paid them. The balance stayed real, mine. Some nights, I still checked my phone, expecting another request, another crisis. But there was nothing. Just space. Space to breathe. Space to think about something other than owing. Mom still sent photos of the twins. Sabrina sent recipes she wanted to try together sometime. I hearted them, no words attached. Boundaries don't always break relationships. Sometimes they teach people how to meet you. One morning, I saw Sabrina across the lawn loading her car. She looked up. Morning, she called. Morning, I said. She hesitated, then smiled. A small one but real. That's how healing starts. Not with apologies, but with eye contact and a softer tone. I'm not the villain they painted, or the savior I pretended to be. I'm just a woman learning. That peace doesn't mean silence. It means self-respect that doesn't shake when someone raises their voice. I don't want revenge. I don't even want them to understand. I just want to live without owing an explanation. For the boundaries that keep me whole. Some mornings, I still step outside with coffee in hand, look at their house, and whisper the same two words. Good morning. And this time, it's not politeness. It's freedom. If you've ever been told that saying no makes you selfish, remember this. It's not selfish to stop bleeding for people who never notice the wound. It's survival.